Hi, I'm Charles Leikauf, and on this video, we're going to talk about the role and the mindset of a fractional CFO. You're going to learn exactly what a fractional CFO does, how to think like a fractional CFO, how to charge clients and do the work to charge clients $5,000 a month so you can change their life and you can change your life. Hi, my name is Charles Leikauf, and I've been a fractional CFO since 2017. I've helped over 300 people start, grow, and scale their fractional CFO firm. I'm a current fractional CFO, and I've been a full-time W-2 CFO. So one of the things is when we think about the role of a fractional CFO, let's first define what a fractional CFO is. And if you're new here, let me explain. So typically a fractional CFO is when you can't afford a full-time CFO, you hire one part-time or fractionally. And so when you end up hiring one fractionally, think about it like this. They want the results of a full-time CFO, but maybe spending the $300,000 a year doesn't make sense for them. So they get you fractionally or part-time. And these are typically businesses from the $1 to $30 million a year range, and ranging from any sort of industry of people that you can help. And now when we're working with them, I want to think about this. I want to earn $500 an hour plus. So think $3,000 a month, $5,000 a month. I'll get into pricing maybe in another video here, but I want to talk about the role and the mindset of a fractional CFO. So the first role is can you make your clients more money and can you get them financial clarity? Those are the most important parts. Your average small business struggles with things like cash flow. Do I get loans? Are my books good? Does it make sense? How do I translate my income statement or P&L over to English instead of finance nerd? And what do I even do with that? How do I make better decisions with that? That's what a fractional CFO does on a daily basis. Maybe it's helping to manage inventory or working capital management or all sorts of things. Your average small business is so terribly ran that you can kind of, this is a joke, but roll your face across the keyboard and make them more money if you have the right system, the right knowledge, the right mindset around being a fractional CFO. Let's talk about how we develop an advisor's mindset, not just like a financial analyst or a controller, an accountant, or a CPA's mindset. So usually an accountant wants to put numbers into a box to file a tax return. Well, I don't really care about the tax return if we don't make any profit. So I'm focused on how do I get the business owner more money. And so when we think about an advisor mindset, the client is coming to us because they need help. We are their trusted advisor. We can guide them to a better result, a much better existence as a business owner. And so they're coming to us for advice. And so we need to be able to turn financials that are confusing into actionable advice. How do we do that? So when we go through their financials, we want to structure things in a way that makes sense to them. So I want to think about what their goals are, what do they need help with, and then how do I turn things into English? So if you're using words like accumulated depreciation or anything like that, it's not going to cut it. So we're going to go through their income statement, and when we explain things to them, it's like, hey, there's a sandwich style of communicating. And the sandwich style of communicating is, example, we need to reduce headcount by 15% because A, they don't provide as much value, and B, we can't afford it anymore. So I would say is we need to reduce headcount by 15%. Here's data point 1 of reason why we need to reduce headcount by 15%. Here's data point number 2 of why we need to reduce headcount by 15%. Here's data point number 3 on why we need to reduce headcount by 15%. Therefore, we need to reduce headcount by 15%. So it's we need to do X, followed by data point 1, data point 2, data point 3. We need to do X. Having the right mindset to make things easier for them to understand is really, really important. And I talk about this in other trainings inside of our community where we really want to use our emotional intelligence skills. It doesn't matter how smart we are if we aren't able to get them a better financial result, and we do that by convincing them to take our advice. That's called emotional intelligence. Now, let's talk about aligning with clients' expectations. When I first started as a fractional CFO, I had kind of a way of thinking of, I'm only here to make them more money. And while that's partially true, I'm also helping them here to reach their goals. And maybe they don't buy a fractional CFO to make more money. And if you're like me, your first thought is, oh my gosh, that is so silly. But they might buy your services to tell their friends that they have a fractional CFO, to feel better about their finances. They may feel in charge. They may feel a little bit better clarity. They may be able to say like, hey, their spouse or business partner, it's handled. The reason they buy your services isn't always the reason why you would buy your services, as crazy as that sounds. So I want to align what I do with my clients' expectations. And so I want to think about what their goals are, and I want to focus a lot heavier on how do I reach their goals. Their goals may be get better financial clarity instead of make more money. So I would only focus on make more money. And so sometimes I'd have disagreements with my clients. It's like, look how much money I made you. Well, if they just want a little bit better financial clarity, they want to get approved for a loan or better business credit or whatever, right? That may be less important than better cash flow day one, but we want to model what we do around client expectations. So we have to give them what they want and sell them what they need at the same time. So balancing those as a fractional CFO can be challenging, especially because you probably know better because you're the financial professional. And the next thing is we really need the skills and the confidence to lead strategically. Going over past financials, that's cool, but I want us to think about like, what can we do moving forward and how can we help them moving forward? When we're doing that, I want to think about what needs to happen. So I like to structure my calls with them on like this: 3 things we did right, 3 things we did wrong, 3 things we're going to do different next month. And when we set it up like that, it's going to give them a much better opportunity to do a better job and know what are their marching orders from that call. Because if we just go over financials, it's a little esoteric, they may not understand. So I want to provide you need recommendation A, B, and C. Here's your marching orders for the next month. So that's really, really important. The next thing is small business owners really, really need you as a fractional CFO. And they need you as a fractional CFO because they get into a terrible financial situation without you. They take loans at a 73% APR. They borrow a whole bunch of money. They have 24 months of inventory when they really need 3. All these are real life examples of 8-figure-a-year clients that I've seen do, right? Which is absolutely, drives you incredulous if you're watching this, right? Or you might be incredulous if you're watching this, but you know better than them. And so these things might be obvious to you, aren't to them. So they really need your help. There's 33 million small businesses, and there's so many of them that just need a little bit of a financial advice, but don't necessarily need to punk down 300 grand for a full-time one. So here's a few results of my CFO clients and clients who become fractional CFOs. So I helped one guy, he was losing $952,000 a year in 2023. In 2024, we made him $988,000 a year profitable. So that's almost a $2 million a year swing. And we did that by installing fractional CFO services, getting him a budget, getting him a forecast, renegotiating his shipping, cleaning up his receivables, cleaning up his payables, having a better process around them, having better policy around them, and then having someone who is responsible for those. So those are 3 separate things. Those are just a few of the things that we've done. I helped one client get into syndicated in retail on a very large company called Sephora, right? We helped clients get into that, which has been also helpful. We've helped people grow and raise money and do all sorts of other things. But those are just a couple examples of like what a fractional CFO would really do. One other thing I wanted to talk about is your client is either a concrete thinker or a conceptual thinker. There are 2 types of thinkers. Conceptual thinkers, you can give them a high-level overview of something and they get it immediately. A concrete thinker is like, okay, but how do I do that? What is the next step? What's step 1A, step 1B? Those are your engineer brains. If you're here, you have a 50-50 chance of being in each one. Really good CFOs tend to be conceptual. Really good accountants tend to be concrete. And so it depends upon what you fall into. But if you're a concrete thinker and your client's a conceptual thinker, you need to think about how you can communicate them in a better way that makes a lot more sense. So if they think in a different manner, how do you present your findings in a way that makes sense for them? And so that is really, really important. A good example is a conceptual thinker is if you can think of a ball, a sphere, right? And for the bottom of it, you can paint red and the rest of the sphere is gray, rotate it up 90 degrees, spin it 45 degrees to the right, and then spin it 270 degrees to the left. If you can close your eyes and see where it is, you're a conceptual thinker. If you're a concrete thinker, right, you're thinking of different stuff. You're like, why would I rotate the ball? What does rotate the ball even have to do? I'm not going to do stupid exercise, right? You're more literal versus conceptual. We need both of those people in the world, but we need to figure out how we can communicate to our client because the way we understand information and the way we relay information back may not be in the client's best interests. The other thing I want to mention when it's serving clients is clients that ask why questions, the clients that ask what questions, the clients that ask how questions, or the clients that ask what if I do, what if I don't. So they did a study on children and they found that all children ask one of those who, what, how, why, what if I do, what if I don't questions. And that's kind of your learning style. And so if I explain something, if like I'm a why person, if I have someone explain something to me and they don't say, hey, why this is important, my brain's like, don't care, don't care, don't care, don't care. And so your client might be that person. But if they ask you, well, okay, Charles, like, how do I do this? You're gonna respond back, well, this is how we do that. And you're gonna realize this is a how client. And so that way you can attune yourself. So I have a question for you. Are you a why client? Are you a what client? Are you a how client? Are you what if I do this client, or what if I don't do this, like a consequence? Which order of thinking are you? And which order of thinking is someone close to you? And then how are you going to best change your style of communication towards them to get them and yourself a better result? So we've gone over the role and the mindset of a fractional CFO. I hope this has made sense to you. If you're interested in learning a little bit more about us, you can click the link in the summary below and we'll show you how to become a fractional CFO or how to grow your fractional CFO firm. Check us out online at Charles Leikauf or Profit Search Group. I'll see you guys later.